Ethan Cole had never planned to change his life that day. He was just a quiet human engineer living on a dusty mining colony at the edge of human space. His life was simple. He worked long hours, ate the same meals every week, and spent his nights fixing old machines in his workshop. The colony was lonely, cold at night, and full of metal dust that settled on every surface. Ethan didn't complain, but he felt the emptiness around him. One evening, after finishing another 14-hour shift, Ethan walked through the market street. The neon lights flickered above him, and the air smelled of metal and burnt circuits. He paused in front of a strange shop called Galactic Treasures and Tech Companions. The sign buzzed unpredictably, as if it was about to fall. Inside, the shop was dim and crowded with broken gadgets. Screens glowed weakly, shelves were packed with old alien technology, and strange humming sounds came from the back. Ethan only wanted something small, a smart pet. Humans on the colony usually kept one for company. It was basically a robotic pet that could respond, follow, and do simple tasks. Ethan had saved for months to buy one. He entered quietly. Behind the counter stood an old alien shopkeeper with 4 thin arms and tired yellow eyes. The alien looked nervous when Ethan asked, "Do you have any smart pets for sale?" Without saying much, the shopkeeper pointed to a dusty metal case under the counter. It was shaped like a pet carrier but made of cold, silver metal. "This one," the shopkeeper said quickly. "Very smart, very advanced." "No refunds, no scanning, no questions," Ethan frowned. "No scanning?" That was strange. People always scanned a product before buying. But before he could think further, the shopkeeper shoved the box into his hands. "Take it. Good price. Leave now." The shopkeeper's voice seemed almost fearful. Ethan felt uneasy. But curiosity pushed him forward. Maybe he just got lucky. Maybe it was an expensive model being sold cheaply. Maybe this old alien just wanted to get rid of it. He paid and left with the box. As he walked home through the cold colony streets, he kept looking at the metal case. It didn't feel like a normal smart pet pod. It was heavier, warmer, almost alive. When he reached his workshop, he locked the door behind him. The room was silent except for the soft hum of machines. Ethan placed the box on his table. The surface vibrated slightly, as if something inside was breathing. He whispered to himself, "Okay, let's see what I bought." He pressed the activation button. Nothing happened. Then suddenly, the entire box lit up with a blue glow. The metal unfolded itself like liquid, shifting, unlocking with sharp clicks. Ethan stepped back in shock. Smart pets didn't open like this. They didn't glow. They didn't pulse with energy. The metal shell split, opened, and released a soft mist. Inside was not a robotic animal. Inside lay a small girl, a living, breathing alien girl, maybe 14 years old. Her skin was pale silver, and faint glowing markings ran along her arms. Her hair fell in soft white strands across her face. She looked fragile, weak, and deeply exhausted. Ethan's heart stopped for a moment. "No way," he whispered. He leaned closer. The girl's chest rose and fell slowly. She was alive, but barely. This wasn't a smart pet. This was a child. Before Ethan could think or react, the girl's eyes snapped open. They glowed bright blue, too bright, too intense. Her pupils were thin like energy lines. She stared at Ethan with fear and confusion. For a few seconds, neither of them moved. Then in a weak and trembling voice, she whispered something Ethan never expected. "Please, don't send me back." Ethan froze. His throat went dry. "Send you back to where? Who did this to you?" She opened her mouth again, but before she could speak, there came a violent, heavy knock on the door. Bam! Bam! Ethan jumped. Someone outside shouted, "Colony Patrol. We need to check your residence. Open the door now." The girl gasped and grabbed Ethan's arm with surprising strength. Her voice shook with terror. "Please. They will take me. Hide me." Ethan looked into her glowing eyes and saw pure fear of being caught, fear of being hurt, fear of something far worse. The knocking grew louder. Bam! 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 Ethan made a decision he didn't fully understand. He grabbed a blanket, wrapped the girl quickly, and slid her under his workbench. She curled silently, holding her breath. Ethan straightened up and opened the door. 2 armored patrol officers stood there, tall and cold, scanning him with suspicious eyes. One of them spoke in a firm voice. "We are searching for illegal cargo. Reports show a stolen biological specimen entered this area. Did you notice anything unusual?" Ethan's heart hammered in his chest. Sweat formed on his forehead. He forced himself to breathe slowly. He shook his head. "No, officer, nothing unusual." The officer stepped closer. "Are you sure?" Ethan felt the alien girl trembling under the table behind him. He swallowed hard. "I'm sure." The officers scanned the room briefly, then left. Ethan shut the door quickly and leaned against it, shaking. When he turned around, the girl peeked out from under the table. Her eyes were full of fear and hope. For the first time, Ethan realized he hadn't bought a smart pet. He had rescued someone. Someone important. Someone in danger. His life had changed. And there was no going back now. Ethan stood in silence for several seconds after the patrol officers left. His breath came out in small, shaky bursts. The colony was loud outside, but inside his workshop, there was only deep, heavy quiet. He slowly turned his head toward the workbench. 2 glowing blue eyes stared back at him from the darkness. The alien girl crawled out slowly, still wrapped in the blanket he had given her. She moved cautiously, like someone expecting danger at every step. Her small hands trembled as she touched the floor. Ethan noticed faint white lines on her skin, like tiny circuits pulsing with gentle energy. She didn't look like a creature from any species he recognized. She looked delicate, scared, and alone. Ethan knelt down so she wouldn't feel threatened. "It's okay," he said softly. "They're gone." The girl didn't answer. She backed up slightly, watching him carefully. Her glowing eyes scanned his face, his hands, even his heartbeat. He could feel it in his chest, a soft pressure, like she was reading him without words. After a long pause, she whispered, "You didn't give me to them." Her voice was soft, but there was shock in it, like she wasn't used to kindness. Ethan nodded. "I'm not handing a child over to soldiers." The girl blinked slowly, confused. "Child?" She looked down at her hands as if the word felt strange. Ethan gently asked, "What's your name?" The girl hesitated. Her expression tightened, like she was remembering something painful. "Lyra." Ethan repeated the name softly. "Lyra, I'm Ethan." The moment he said it, the metal lights above him flickered for a second. Lyra flinched, as if expecting punishment. Ethan lifted his hand slightly, showing he wasn't going to hurt her. "Lyra, you're safe here," he said slowly. "Do you understand?" She stared at him for a long moment, then whispered, "Why?" That one word carried 1,000 hidden fears. Why save her? Why lie to soldiers? Why care about her at all? FN lowered himself to sit on the floor, giving her space. "Because you're not a thing," he said gently. "You're a person." Lyra's eyes widened. She seemed shocked by such a simple idea. She wrapped her arms tightly around herself, like she was trying to hold in her emotions. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, very quietly, she asked, "Can I stay here? Just for a little while?" Ethan nodded immediately. "Of course." But she didn't move closer. She just stared at him like she was trying to understand something she had never experienced before. Her fear shows it all. Ethan stood up and grabbed a bottle of water from his counter. He placed it in front of her, carefully. Lyra stared at the bottle like she didn't know what to do with it. Ethan opened it and took a sip, then held it out again. Lyra slowly took it and drank fast, desperate gulps. as if she hadn't tasted water in days. Sun spilled down her chin, and she looked embarrassed, quickly wiping her face. Ethan realized something. Lyra didn't know basic things. Food, resting, even safety. Someone had kept this girl like property. When she finished drinking, she whispered, "Thank you." Ethan, hearing his name in her small, shaking voice, filled the room with something soft and heavy. But the peace didn't last long. Lyra suddenly froze. Her body stiffened. Her glowing eyes dimmed. Ethan noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" She hugged herself tightly and whispered in a terrified voice, "They are still searching." "I can feel them." Ethan frowned. "Feel them? How?" Lyra touched her temples. "I am different. I hear things you don't. Not sound thoughts. Distance. Intention." She looked up at him with eyes full of guilt. "I didn't mean to hear yours." Ethan blinked. "You can read minds?" Lyra lowered her head. "Only sometimes. Only when I'm scared." Ethan sat quietly, trying to process this. Telepathic species existed, but they were extremely rare and extremely valuable. No wonder the patrol wanted her so badly. Lyra whispered again, "They think I am a weapon." Ethan felt anger rise in his chest. "To me, you're just a kid who needs help." Lyra's glowing eyes softened for the first time. A small, fragile smile appeared, shaky, uncertain, but real. "A fragile trust begins." Lyra reached out, slowly, carefully, and placed her hand on Ethan's arm. Her touch was warm, too warm, almost humming with energy. For a second, Ethan felt a rush of emotions that weren't his: fear, hunger, cold metal walls, darkness, commands shouted at her, pain, and loneliness. She pulled her hand back immediately. "Sorry. I didn't mean." Ethan gently shook his head. "It's okay, I know you didn't." Lyra stared at him with awe, as if humans were something she could never understand. Then she spoke the words that changed everything. "I don't know what a home feels like, but can I learn it here?" Egan swallowed hard. "Yes, Lyra, you can learn it here." For the first time she relaxed, just a little. She sat on the floor near him, not touching, but close enough to show she didn't fear him anymore. But outside, Ethan heard a drone fly past his window. The danger wasn't gone. The patrol wasn't giving up. And deep inside, Lyra knew. They weren't just searching for her. They were hunting her. This was only the beginning. Ethan woke the next morning feeling strangely alert. His mind replayed the events from last night like a broken video. The strange shop, the glowing metal box, Lyra's terrified face, the patrol's heavy knocking. It almost felt like a dream, except the small blanket on his floor moved. Lyra was curled up inside it, asleep. Her white hair fell softly over her face, and her glowing markings had dimmed, as if she used less energy while resting. She didn't look like a dangerous telepathic alien. She looked like a frightened girl trying to disappear into the blanket. Ethan approached quietly, not wanting to scare her. But she woke instantly, her eyes opening bright and alert. She jerked up, startled. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sleep too long." She spoke quickly, like she expected punishment. Ethan shook his head gently. "You can sleep as long as you need." Lyra stared, confused. "You allow that?" Ethan felt something twist painfully inside him. What kind of life had she lived before this? Learning how to be normal then made breakfast simple. Food, warm bread, fruit pieces, and a hot drink. Lyra sat across the table, sitting very stiff, hands folded like she was waiting for instructions. Ethan pushed a plate toward her. "This is for you." She didn't move. "Is there a correct way to eat it?" she asked. Ethan tried not to look shocked. "No, just pick it up and eat." Lyra did exactly that, copying his movements like a student copying a teacher. She took a small bite first, then her eyes widened with surprise. "This is warm and sweet." Ethan smiled slightly. Food shouldn't feel like a miracle, but to her, it did. After a few minutes, she suddenly stopped eating and pressed her fingers to her temple again, as if something hurt. Ethan moved closer. "Are you okay?" Lyra nodded weakly. "I'm just adjusting. Your world feels loud. The metal walls, the electric wires, the thoughts." Ethan frowned. "Can you turn it off?" Lyra looked down. "Not fully. I was trained to listen, always. Even when it hurts." Trained. The word hit Ethan hard. Who trains a child like this? She looked at his worried face and quickly added, "But I will learn. I can control it better. I want to." And for the first time, Ethan saw determination in her eyes. Trouble. Outside the walls around noon, Ethan took Lyra to the back room where he kept his tools. She followed him closely, always 2 steps behind, like a shadow afraid to be left alone. Every new object made her flinch slightly, machines humming, sparks from tools, engines shaking the floor. But she asked questions. A lot of questions. What does this do? Why is this spinning? Why doesn't this metal glow like the other metals? Ethan explained patiently. Sometimes she understood instantly. Sometimes she stared at things like she'd never seen anything so strange. Then a loud buzzing sound came from outside. A drone. Lyra stiffened. Her eyes flashed bright blue. "They are looking again. They are closer now." Ethan walked to the window slowly. A patrol drone hovered down the street, scanning every doorway. 2 officers questioned the neighbors. Ethan felt cold in his chest. This wasn't a casual search. This was a hunt. He turned to Lyra. "We need to keep you hidden. At least until I understand what they want." Lyra whispered, trembling. "They want me because I am not supposed to exist." Ethan paused. "What does that mean?" But Lyra closed up again, folding her arms tightly. I don't want to talk about it. Not yet." He didn't push her. He could see the fear in her eyes. Strange powers, stranger moments. Later in the afternoon, Ethan noticed something strange in his workshop. Tools had moved, not by inches, by meters. A heavy crate sat on the opposite side of the room. His old engine, which weighed more than Lyra herself, had shifted 2 feet to the left. Ethan frowned. "Did you touch anything in here?" Lyra froze. "I tried to help." Ethan blinked. "That crate weighs 200 kilograms. Lyra lowered her head, like she was confessing something. "I didn't lift it with my hands." Ethan stared at her. "You moved it with your mind?" Lyra hesitated, then nodded. She didn't look proud. She looked scared. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I thought humans liked things organized. I didn't mean to make trouble." Ethan shook his head. "You didn't. It's just surprising." Lyra gave a tiny nervous smile. Bonding. Slowly evening approached. Lyra sat on the floor beside him while he fixed a broken engine. She watched every movement, her glowing eyes tracking each tool. She seemed calmer now, less scared, more curious. Then Ethan noticed her staring at him silently. "What is it?" he asked. Lyra tilted her head. "When you lied to the soldiers, your heartbeat changed." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Can you hear my heartbeat?" Lyra nodded. "It was fast, very fast." "You were scared," he sighed. "Yeah, anyone would be." Lyra shook her head gently. "Not for themselves. You were scared for me." Ethan didn't answer, but his silence was enough. Lyra lowered her gaze, whispering, "No one has ever been scared for me before." That simple sentence carried more pain than a scream. A dangerous truth. As night fell, the colony lights dimmed. Lyra sat by the window, watching the stars with sad, thoughtful eyes. Ethan joined her. "Lyra," he said softly, "who are you running from?" Lyra stared out into the night sky. Her voice was quiet, heavy. "People who created me. And people who want to own me." Then she turned to Ethan, eyes glowing softly. "But I don't want to be owned. I want to be something else." Ethan nodded slowly. Then we'll figure it out, together. Lyra looked at him like she was seeing hope for the first time. But outside, a huge shadow passed over the street. A patrol ship. Bigger. Heavier. Searching with purpose. Lyra whispered, "They are closing in." And Ethan knew. Her new life had just begun. And so had the danger. The colony changed in the next 2 days, quietly, dangerously, like a storm forming far away but moving closer every hour. Ethan noticed it first when he stepped out to get supplies. The market street was unusually silent. People stood in small groups whispering. Patrol officers walked with heavier armor, scanning every corner. At the far end of the road, a holographic board flickered to life with a new message. Attention! A high-value alien specimen is missing. If seen, report immediately. Reward, 50,000 credits. The image was only a blurred silhouette, but Ethan's stomach tightened. It looked small. Very small, like a child. He hurried back home, heart pounding. Inside, Lyra was sitting cross-legged on the floor, trying to copy his handwriting on a piece of paper. She looked up when he entered, but her smile faded instantly when she saw his face. "You're worried," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "They've put out a reward notice." Lyra's glowing eyes trembled. She gripped the paper tightly, crushing it in her hands. "They know I'm here." Ethan shook his head. "Maybe not, but the colony is suspicious. Too many patrols, too many searches." Lyra hugged her knees to her chest. Her voice was small. "I should run. I don't want to bring danger to you." Ethan kneeled in front of her. "Running alone won't save you. They'll catch you faster." Lyra lowered her head, strands of white hair falling over her face. "Then what do we do?" More than one enemy that evening, Ethan worked in his workshop, pretending everything was normal, but he couldn't focus. He kept checking the window. The street outside was too quiet. To watched. Lyra sat nearby, staring at a small metal bolt like it held the secrets of the universe. Then she spoke suddenly, softly. "Ethan, there are more people looking for me than just soldiers." Ethan turned toward her. "What do you mean?" Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, but not with fear, something heavier, deeper. "The ones who created me, they want me back too." Ethan frowned. "Created? Lyra, were you born?" Or her voice broke slightly. "I was made, designed, tested. They said I was a prototype." Ethan's breath caught in his throat. "She wasn't just a telepath. She was engineered." Lyra continued. "I ran away. I was too strong for them to control after I awakened. So they tried to sell me to stop others from using me." Ethan sat down. Slowly. This was worse than he imagined. Being watched later that night, Ethan stood near his window. The colony lights flickered in the dusty air. He saw 2 officers talking with a neighbor across the street. One of the officers pointed toward Ethan's home. Ethan felt a sharp chill travel down his spine. He turned to Lyra, who was now watching him carefully. "2 men are outside," she whispered. "Their thoughts are heavy, suspicious." Ethan stared at her. "You can sense thoughts through walls?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Only when people think loudly. Fear makes thoughts loud." Ethan exhaled shakily. This was becoming dangerous too. Dangerous. He moved quickly, turning off lights, closing blinds, locking doors. Lyra followed him silently, her steps light like a ghost. "Ethan," she whispered, "you don't have to save me. Humans, you usually protect your own, not strangers." Ethan looked at her. "You're not a stranger anymore." Lyra's glowing eyes softened, and for a brief moment, Ethan saw a bit of hope in them, but the moment shattered when something slammed against his door. Bam! Ethan and Lyra both froze. Another bam, then a voice. "Ethan Cole, Colony Patrol, open the door." Not again. Interrogation. Ethan opened the door just enough to look out. Two officers stood there, armored, grim, scanning the air around him. "We need to ask you some questions," the taller one said. "About what?" Ethan asked, keeping his voice steady. The officer stepped closer. "Several citizens reported strange lights and energy surges coming from this area." Ethan's heart raced. The metal box. Lyra's powers. The crate she moved, all dangerous signs. "I was fixing machines," Ethan lied calmly. "Old engines spark sometimes." The officer narrowed his eyes. "May we check inside?" Ethan tensed. He felt Lyra standing in the dark behind him, hidden. He needed to buy time. "Do you have a warrant?" The officers exchanged glances. They didn't. Finally, they stepped back, but before leaving, the taller officer leaned closer and whispered, "If you see anything at all, report it. Someone like you doesn't want to get involved in illegal alien business." He tapped Ethan's shoulder softly, like a warning. They left. Ethan closed the door with shaking hands. Lyra appeared silently from the shadows, eyes full of fear. "They know," she said softly. "They don't have proof yet, but they know." Ethan sank into his chair, rubbing his face. This would only get worse. Lyra's strange warning later. As Ethan was thinking of ways to hide her better, Lyra walked toward him with slow, heavy steps. Her glowing markings dimmed again, like she was exhausted. "Ethan, there's something else." He looked up. Lyra continued, "I sense someone new arriving on the colony. Someone strong. Someone like me." Ethan frowned. "Another telepath?" Lyra shook her head. "No, something darker. A hunter." Ethan felt his chest tighten. She whispered again, "He's here for me." And outside, distant thunder echoed, not from the sky, not from weather, from a landing ship. A heavy one. A ship meant for capture. The real hunter had arrived. Night fell. Heavy on the colony, darker than usual. Even the neon signs seemed dimmer, like the shadows were swallowing the lights. Ethan tried to fix an engine to stay calm, but his hands kept shaking. Lyra stayed close to him, watching the window every few seconds. She wasn't blinking. She wasn't breathing normally. She whispered, "He is here." Ethan stopped working. "Who is he?" Lyra hugged her arms tightly around herself, as if trying to stop a cold that wasn't real. "The hunter. The one they send when everything else fails." Ethan felt a chill. "What does he do?" Lyra whispered, voice trembling. "He brings people back, dead or alive. It doesn't matter to him." The hunter arrived suddenly. The entire workshop shook. Metal rattled. Lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ethan and Lyra both looked up. A massive ship had landed nearby, too sharp, too silent, too dangerous to belong to normal patrol. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter as she whispered, "He's reading the colony. Searching minds one by one." Ethan felt a cold wave wash over him. "How far can he search?" Lyra swallowed. "Far enough to find me if I don't hide. But hiding hurts." She placed her hands on her temples, breathing hard. Ethan kneeled next to her. "Tell me what to do. Tell me how to help." Lyra shook her head weakly. "You can't fight him. Humans cannot. He is too strong." Ethan didn't move. He put a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone anymore." Lyra stared at his hand for a long moment, then closed her eyes. The attack begins. A violent crash broke the silence. Someone was breaking into the workshop's back door. Metal bent. Bolts snapped. A huge shadow filled the hallway. Ethan pulled Lyra behind him instinctively. The creature stepped inside. He was tall, almost 2 meters, with armor that looked grown, not built. His eyes were like burning coals. His presence alone made the air feel too heavy to breathe. He spoke with a voice that didn't fully use sound. Half of it was inside their heads. "Return the girl." Ethan took a shaky breath. "You're not taking her." The hunter tilted his head slightly, as if amused. Human, you hide something that is not yours. Stand aside. Lyra whispered, Ethan. Don't. He didn't listen. The hunter stepped forward. Lyra loses control without warning. Lyra gasped sharply and grabbed Ethan's hand. Her skin flashed brightly. Her markings blazed like white fire. The air itself seemed to vibrate like the world was holding its breath. The hunter stopped mid-step. He frowned. The prototype is awakening. He muttered. Lyra's body shook violently. Her eyes glowed like twin suns. Her hair floated as if underwater. Ethan held her tight. Lyra, stay with me. But she wasn't hearing him. Her voice came out in a whisper, layered with another deeper voice Ethan had never heard before. Don't touch him. A pulse exploded from her body. Not sound, not light. Something else. A shockwave of pure energy. The machines lifted off the ground. The metal walls bent outward. The hunter was thrown across the room, slamming into the wall hard enough to crack it. Ethan felt his feet leave the floor. Then Lyra wrapped her arms around him, protecting him with a shield of glowing light. Everything around them floated tools. Wires, crates suspended in the air like gravity had vanished. The hunter stood, though slower this time. He wiped blood from the corner of his mouth. So, she truly awakened. Lyra turned toward him, but something about her had changed. Eyes were no longer soft, no longer scared. They were ancient, powerful, terrifying. Ethan wasn't looking at a child anymore. He was looking at whatever she was built to become. The hunter makes a choice. The hunter raised his weapon, a long spear made of black metal. Prototype. Lyra, you were designed to obey. Return now, or your human dies. Lyra's glowing eyes narrowed. And for a moment, Ethan saw rage, pure, emotional, protective rage. The lights in the workshop shattered. The spear melted in the hunter's hand. Ethan shouted, Lyra, stop please. Her power spiked again. The air heated. Energy spiraled around her like a storm of light. But the hunter stepped forward again, slower this time. He wasn't afraid. But he wasn't confident anymore. You cannot maintain this form. You will burn out. Lyra's voice echoed, cold and angry. Then I burn. Ethan saves her. The power inside her grew, cracking the floor. Machines began to rip apart. The wall started to collapse. She was going to destroy everything, herself included. Ethan grabbed her shoulders and shouted over the roar of energy, Lyra, look at me. She didn't. Her eyes were lost in the storm she created. Ethan pulled her closer, holding her face between his hands. Lyra, listen. You said you wanted a home. You said you wanted to learn what that means. I'm here. With you. Right now. Her breathing changed, slower, softer. Her glowing markings flickered. Ethan whispered, don't destroy yourself. Please, stay with me. Lyra gasped, her eyes trembling, and collapsed into his arms. Her powers shut down instantly. Everything that floated crashed to the floor. The workshop fell silent. The hunter retreats. For now the hunter stood across the room, watching. For the first time. He looked unsure. He stared at Ethan holding Lyra, an ordinary human, protecting the most dangerous prototype ever made. Finally, he spoke. This changes things. Then he stepped back into the shadows and vanished. Ethan held Lyra close as she breathed weakly against his chest. She whispered one final, broken sentence. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to protect you. Ethan tightened his hold around her. I know. But outside, sirens started echoing across the colony. Everyone had felt the energy explosion. Everyone knew where it came from. And Ethan realized the real danger was only beginning. The explosion of Lyra's power had shaken the entire colony. Sirens echoed in the streets. Patrol lights flashed red through every window. Loudspeakers roared warnings about an unidentified energy surge. Ethan held Lyra tightly as she trembled in his arms. Her glowing markings flickered weakly like a dying flame. Her breathing was soft and uneven. She whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lose control." Ethan brushed her hair back gently. "You protected me. That's all I saw." Lyra blinked slowly. Her eyes looked tired, almost dim. Outside, footsteps rushed across metal floors. Officers shouted. Orders. The colony was searching for the source of the blast. Ethan stood up quickly. They couldn't stay. Not even one more minute. Leaving everything behind, Ethan grabbed a small backpack, tools, food, water, a map, and whatever credits he had. Saved. Lyra watched him silently. She looked scared again, not of the hunters, but of leaving the only safe place she had ever known. "Ethan," she whispered, "I'm slowing you down. You should leave me. Save yourself." Ethan froze. Then he turned and faced her completely. "Lyra, I'm not leaving you." "Not now, not ever." Lyra's breath hitched. Her lower lip trembled. No one had ever said those words to her before. She nodded once, slowly. Ethan offered his hand. Lyra placed her small silver-skinned fingers into his palm, uncertain, hesitant, but trusting. And in that moment, something powerful passed between them. Not telepathy, not energy, pure, human loyalty. Sneaking through the colony, they moved through the workshop's back exit. Ethan led. Lyra followed silently, her bare feet hardly making a sound. The cold night air stung their skin. Patrol drones hovered above rooftops, scanning with blue beams. Lyra whispered, "I can sense their minds. They are scared, but also angry." Ethan kept moving. Angry at what? "At me, they think. I'm dangerous. They think I will break everything." Ethan squeezed her hand. "You didn't break anything. You were defending yourself." Lyra didn't answer. She wasn't sure she believed that. They slipped into a narrow alleyway. Shadows stretched across the walls, hiding them partially. Ethan peeked around the corner. 3 soldiers stood blocking the main road. Lyra tugged his sleeve gently. Her voice was soft, trembling. "We need to go underground." "The tunnels by the power plant." Ethan blinked. "How do you know those?" Lyra looked down. "I hear thoughts, memories. They leak from people, even when they try to hide them." Ethan nodded slowly. She wasn't just powerful. She was dangerous to the wrong people. But to him, she was a scared girl trying her best to survive. They slipped under a half-broken fence and entered the lower levels of the colony. The hunter returns. The tunnels were silent except for the hum of old pipes. The air smelled of rust and machine. Oil. Lyra suddenly grabbed Ethan's arm. "He's close." Ethan's heart kicked against his ribs. "The hunter?" Lyra nodded, eyes wide with fear. "He's not searching with machines, he's searching with me." Ethan didn't understand. "What do you mean?" Lyra pressed her hand against her chest. "We are connected. Same origin, same energy. He can feel me when I use too much power." Ethan realized the truth. Her awakening earlier had acted like a beacon, a silent alarm only the hunter could sense. Ethan looked around desperately, searching for an exit. The tunnel seemed endless, then a sound, a low, metallic growl, followed by slow footsteps. Echoing through the darkness. Ethan pulled Lyra behind him. The hunter stepped out of the shadows. The chase, he didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply moved fast. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand and ran. The hunter followed with heavy, precise steps. Not rushing, not tired, not struggling. He didn't need to be fast. He knew they would tire first. Lyra stumbled but kept running. Ethan dragged her when she weakened. Behind them, the hunter's calm voice echoed, "Prototype Lyra, there is no escape." Lyra's breathing turned ragged. Her energy was still unstable from earlier. Ethan shouted, "Keep going." "I can't," she whispered. "I'm trying." The tunnel opened into a huge chamber, filled with old transport ships, abandoned mining vehicles left to rot. Ethan's eyes darted around. They had one chance, the Rustwing shuttle, a tiny old transport ship. Ethan had repaired months ago for fun, it wasn't safe. It wasn't fully tested. But it could fly. Maybe. He pulled Lyra toward it. Lyra's small miracle, the Rustwing sat crooked, half covered in dust. Ethan rushed to the cockpit and activated the controls. Nothing. The engine coughed once and died. Ethan slammed his fist on the panel. Come on, come on. The hunter entered the chamber, his eyes glowing red in the dark. It is over. Lyra, breathing weakly, stepped forward. Her glowing lines flickered like faint lightning. She touched the engine. A soft pulse of light flowed from her fingertips into the ship's metal. The controls lit up instantly. The engine roared alive. Ethan stared at her in shock. Lyra whispered, I can help you fly. But I cannot do more. Ethan grabbed her hand. That's enough. They jumped inside, closed the hatch, and strapped in. The hunter rushed forward in a final attempt to stop them. Ethan hit the launch button. The Rustwing blasted upward with a violent jolt. The ground shook. Dust exploded. The hunter leaped, but missed. The ship tore through the old ceiling and rose into the open sky. A small, quiet moment inside the ship. Alarms beeped. The controls shook. The engine coughed smoke. But they were flying. Lyra leaned back, exhausted. Her head rested on Ethan's shoulder without meaning to. She whispered, I didn't want to be trouble. Thank you for not letting me be alone. Ethan tightened the harness around her gently. You're not trouble. Lyra, you're family now. For the first time, Lyra closed her eyes without fear. Outside, below them, the colony lights faded. Above them, stars opened like a path. They were free for now, but freedom in space always came with a price, and the hunter wasn't done. Not even close. The Rustwing shook violently as it climbed higher into the night sky. Warning lights flashed everywhere. The ship was old, patched, and tired, never meant for real flight. But Ethan held the controls as steady as he could. Lyra sat beside him, breathing carefully. Her glowing markings were dim, like faded fire. She had already used too much energy. She looked fragile now, too fragile to fight or run anymore. Ethan checked the radar. His heart dropped. A signal was following them. Fast, deadly, relentless. Lyra whispered without even looking. It's him, the hunter. He had found their trail again. The hunter's last warning. A deep vibration echoed through the Rustwing. The ship shook, alarms screamed, and something massive shadowed them from behind. A dark shape came into view. The hunter's ship. It was bigger, stronger, and far more advanced than anything humans built. Its wings glowed red, and its engines hummed like a predator growling. A message came through the comm system, the voice half inside their heads. Prototype Lyra, stop your escape. Your instability is dangerous. Lyra closed her eyes, shaking. Ethan slammed his fist on the control panel. Leave her alone. She's not your property. The hunter replied calmly. She was designed by us. She belongs to us. Lyra flinched. At the word belongs, her voice trembled. Ethan, maybe he's right. Maybe I should just. Ethan turned to her sharply. No. You don't belong to anyone. Not them, not anyone. You're free. Lyra's eyes widened. No one had ever used that word about her before. Free. The strike. The hunter didn't wait for more talking. A beam of red light shot toward the Rustwing. Ethan swerved the ship just in time. The beam skimmed past them, burning half the wing. Rustwing dipped dangerously. Lyra gasped and grabbed Ethan's arm. He's trying to disable us, not kill us. Ethan muttered, which means he still wants you alive. Lyra lowered her head. Yes, I'm too valuable. Then she whispered something even softer. But you're only a human. Her voice broke. Tears clung to her silver lashes. He will kill you just to get me. Ethan gripped the controls. Harder. I don't care. I'm not letting him take you. Lyra opened her mouth then closed it. Something changed in her expression, something fierce. Something protective. Her choice. The hunter fired again. Another impact shook the Rustwing. Small ship couldn't take much more. Ethan tried to steer toward open space, but the controls were stiff. Smoke rose from the engine. They were going down. Lyra stood suddenly, gripping the back of Ethan's chair to steady herself. Her eyes glowed faintly. Her breath came fast. Ethan saw the look on her face. Lyra, no, don't use your power. You're too weak. Lyra shook her head. If I don't, we will both die. Let me handle it, Ethan said, desperate. But Lyra slowly stepped toward the back of the cockpit, toward the hatch window. Her voice was soft and scared, but steady. Ethan, you gave me a home. You gave me food. You spoke to me like a person, not a thing. She placed a hand on the glass. Now let me give you something back. Ethan shot up from his seat. Lyra, don't, but the moment. He touched her arm. He felt a shock of energy. Lyra's lines glowed brighter. Her power was rising again. She turned and smiled at him, a small, sad smile. Thank you for treating me like more than a weapon. Ethan's chest tightened. His eyes burned. Lyra, please don't sacrifice yourself. She whispered. I'm not sacrificing myself. I'm choosing. The standoff hunter's ship moved closer, preparing a final capture shot. Lyra closed her eyes and lifted her hands slowly. A gentle glow filled the cockpit. Her markings, once dim, began to shine like silver fire. Ethan felt the temperature rise. The entire ship hummed. Then Lyra stepped closer to the window and faced the hunter. She spoke through the comm system, her voice layered with energy. I am not your prototype. I am not your weapon. I am not your possession. The hunter froze. Lyra's eyes blazed to full brightness. I choose my own path. A burst of white energy exploded from her. It wasn't violent. It wasn't deadly. It was protective. A shield. The blast wrapped the Rustwing like a cocoon, shielding the small ship completely. The hunter's beam hit the shield and bounced off, for the first time. The hunter stepped back. He hadn't expected her to control her power. He hadn't expected her to protect someone else. He certainly hadn't expected her to protect a human. Her body gives out. The shield flickered violently. Lyra's knees trembled. Ethan ran to her and held her up. Lyra, stop. You'll burn out. Lyra smiled weakly, her head resting against his chest. I'm not afraid. You're here. The shield cracked. The light dimmed. Lyra collapsed entirely. Ethan caught her before she hit the ground. Her breathing was faint. Her eyes fluttered. Ethan, she whispered, don't leave me. His voice broke. I won't, ever. Her eyes closed. She went still, but she wasn't gone. He could still feel her heartbeat, small and weak, but alive. The hunter leaves. The hunter watched silently. He saw a truth he never understood before. Lyra was not a weapon, not a tool, not a project. She was someone. And Ethan, a simple human, had changed her fate. After a long, heavy moment, the hunter finally spoke. The prototype is no longer ours. Then he turned. And for the first time, he withdrew. His ship disappeared into the star-filled sky. A new beginning. Ethan laid Lyra gently back in her seat. He checked her breathing again. Still alive, still fighting. He whispered, you're safe now, because you chose to be. Lyra didn't wake, but her fingers curled weakly around his hand. Ethan adjusted the Rustwing's controls. It wasn't flying perfectly, but it was flying. He looked at the stars ahead, a wide, open galaxy, a place where Lyra could exist freely, a place where a human and an alien girl could build something new. Together. He whispered softly, let's go home, Lyra, wherever that is now. And the Rustwing drifted deeper into the starlight, carrying the human. A once lost alien girl, and a future neither of them had ever dreamed.